My name is Ratala. I'm Finnish, but I've been living in Singapore for the past 6.5 years. I grew up and studied in a university city in Finland called Lappeenranta, where I graduated in 2010 as a Master of Science in Economics and Business Administration. I majored in international marketing, and I always knew that I wanted an international career. I somehow always felt that there is much more out there beyond the borders of my home country. So right after graduation, I moved abroad, first to Berlin, and since 2011, I've been living in Singapore. It's an international tech startup event that brings together startups, investors, media, and corporates in a very unconventional setting to meet and mingle, to create batches, to learn from one another, and to have a really good time. But it's not a very traditional tech event. It resembles more like a festival or a rock concert, and it's completely done by the grounds up community. So we're a non-profit organization, and we work with a whole bunch of volunteers to co-create the event. It's more than just an event. It's really a global movement of young people, entrepreneurs, and like-minded doers that want to get together and say, hey, we want to show that we can make stuff happen as a community. So it's really an event that's been built by the community for the community. And that's one of the things why I love it and why I decided to jump onto this crazy journey to organize it in Singapore. What I really love about Slush is that we are fully in charge of what we're doing. There's nobody else telling us how we should run it, what should be the content. It all comes down to what the team decides. So we actually work with a very lean team. We only have 7 people in the core team, and we work with a whole bunch of volunteers, a whole bunch of community partners that help us co-create this event. So we do whatever we want, really, and that's the beauty of it. And really coming up with anything crazy, exciting, new, unconventional, you name it. When we have an idea, the first question is not why it's difficult to put into practice, but how we can make it happen. And that's absolutely what I love about Slush. Some of the biggest challenges that we encountered were probably related to the expectations. Last year when we did Slush for the first time, there were really no expectations. Very few people knew who we were and what we were doing, and anything we put together was like, wow, this is very different, this is cool, this is great. People were excited, and we were very encouraged by that positive feedback. But the second year, we knew the areas where we had to improve, where we had to be better. We had really high expectations from ourselves, but also from the people coming down to the event. This year, we had 3,000 people from 74 different countries. So you can imagine there's a lot of pressure of making an event that people feel is worth coming to. So there were a lot of that. And probably tying into that was that we wanted to do so many different things. Sometimes we felt like we were kind of torn into a billion different directions. We wanted to be a great event for startups, for investors, for corporates, for the media, and then we wanted to have great content, and we also wanted to have great networking and great pre-events and amazing party and like everything. And then we kind of started to understand that we can't do everything for everybody. We had to choose, we had to focus. Startups has always been in the center of what Slush does. Our whole goal and vision is to help the next generation of startup entrepreneurs forward. So we kept that as her kind of guiding light, and we planned everything around that. The startup ecosystem in Singapore has developed so much in the past 5-6 years during the time that I've been here. Definitely, people are starting more businesses, which is really exciting. It's not such a big deal anymore to become an entrepreneur, but I would say there's still a little bit to do with that mindset. It's still not as easy for people to choose entrepreneurship over a more traditional career, and this is something that we at Slush try to cater for and show why it's a great option, and show the different examples of the successes and the failures of entrepreneurship. Secondly, which has been really interesting to see, is that the ecosystem is also maturing. Even at our event this year, we practically had 0 startups that were in the ideation stage. They were more in the growth stage. They were looking for funding or looking for interesting partnership opportunities. They were, raising for seed round or round A. And you can definitely see that there is this maturing of the ecosystem, which is a good thing, because I think that the pressing question right now from everyone is, where are the exits in Singapore and in Southeast Asia? And I think, reading from the founders and the startups that we get to see, they're coming. In the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to see many more exits, which is really exciting and needed. I also do welcome the push from the government side towards more deep tech innovation and deep tech startups. While apps and e-commerce is great, there's still a little bit more of a lighter innovations, if you like, and I think that there's definitely a need for a more R&D focused innovation scene, and I think it's really good that the government is playing its role in especially funding these kind of startups, because the traditional VCs would not want to put their money on hold for too long. Finally, which I think is probably the most exciting and interesting thing, is the growth of the corporate players in the ecosystem. I mean, out of all the startups at Slush, for example, about 30% are looking for funding from traditional investors, VCs or angels, and actually majority come for exposure, for partnerships, for hiring opportunities. And it's been very interesting to see that push from the corporates into this startup world, right? A lot of the big organizations have actually realized that they have to work with startups, they have to understand them, they have to engage them to be able to help them to keep actual and keep up with the competition. So we've definitely seen a lot of the new players, the corporate players, enter the market, which I think is really exciting. And for startups, they should actually look into those options as well, and not just directly stare at the VCs or the angels, because I feel like there could be really, really interesting collaborations done between the corporate players and the startup founders. Network a lot, open your mouth, speak with people, listen to people, and don't go pitching first, like funding first. Just really talk about your idea, ask for advice, ask about what the other person thinks about the industry, the ecosystem, where do they think it's going, which trends they see. Really be interested. I've heard of a lot of investors, both VCs and angels, that actually don't invest in somebody that they meet for the first or the second time and they see their pitch deck and they're like, wow, but they actually engage with a person maybe over a course of a year. Maybe first they go for a coffee and just chit chat, get to know that person a little bit more, and once that idea is ready and the startup is ready to raise some funding, they might actually be your first investor. But don't go investment first and money first. Really pick up their brain on all the other things. You can benefit much more from that. I've always been really good at inspiring people. I love that storytelling, showing the vision, talking about the goals and the future, painting the big picture and setting the goals and showing everybody how to dream big. That's my thing. That's what I get a lot of energy from, and that's the kind of energy that I feel I'm good at projecting on people. What is also important to realize is that it's not about what you do, it's about why you do it. You have to find the reason why each and every person is doing what you're doing. You might have a particular vision for the team, but each and every person is actually different, and they get the motivation from different sources. So it's really, really important as a leader for you to actually spend time with your team individually, with every single person, to try to understand who they are and what they get their motivation from, to be able to motivate them even better. I believe success is an attitude. I mean, we very, very often compare ourselves to other people and define our success through them. please don't, because it's never gonna get you anywhere. There's always gonna be somebody that's gonna have more money, fancier title, and they would have achieved much more than you have. Don't compare yourself with others. You know, if you're a startup founder and you have 5 paying customers, you're successful. Elon Musk is successful as well, but he's successful on such a different level. Like, you should not be comparing yourself to him, right? So I think it's really important to set your own goals and measure your success with relation to your goals. If you've achieved your goals, you're successful. If you haven't, you're never gonna feel you are, no matter how many other people are gonna tell you so. My financial goal is to become financially independent. I used to think that that's something I wanted to achieve in my lifetime, but now I've kind of set the bar a little bit higher, and I've realized that I actually want to do it in the next 10 years. Why wait until I'm 60? I want to enjoy life when I'm 40. So that's kind of a more long-term goal, and I think what's important to remember is that not every single thing directly affected. What I'm doing right now does not financially add into that goal, but I'm learning so much that in the future I'm gonna apply these skills into something that's gonna financially benefit me as well. So that's really important to remember. In terms of the actual concrete things that I'm doing, I mean, I do a little bit of investing, some small sums in ETFs. I'm quite interested in property investing actually. We've got a couple of properties back in Finland, and my goal is actually to have properties all around the world. It's maybe a bit of a more long-term goal again, but that's something that I'm personally really interested in. On a more down-to-earth, everyday basis, I actually track my finances. I've done that for many years. I started back in the days when I was using Excel and putting in like all my, you know, coffees and lunches and whatnot, and these days I use apps. I haven't really found one really good app that tracks your finances, so if you guys have any tips, I'm very happy to hear it. But I'm kind of, you know, testing out a few different ones, but I'm basically tracking every single thing that I spend, categorize them, just to understand where I spend my money on, but also those things you track, you pay more attention to. So even if you never really go back to them and look and change your spending behavior, just the fact that you always have to put in every single expenditure, you think about it twice before you spend. So I really actually very warmly recommend that. It's a small thing that you can do, but it has a very big impact on how you look at money and your own finances. I'd say don't overthink it. Just go with the flow, do things that you love, that you enjoy, that you're really good at. Don't look back, only look, you know, into the future. And don't think about what does somebody else think. Should I or shouldn't I? Am I good enough? Yes, you are. Yes, you can. Yes, you should. I think we women are so good at processing things in our head, overthinking and overanalyzing, and while we're doing that and while we're reading all those self-help books and spending times with a glass of wine with our friends, you know, contemplating on things, there are plenty of men that are out there that are just doing things, right? And then we'll look back and we're like, how did this happen? I'm much more qualified, I should have done that. Well, you know what, if you should have done that, then just do it, right? I mean, don't think about it, just do it. Enjoy the life that you love. Don't look back, and yes, you can do that.